And Then There Were Three is the ninth studio album from the English rock band Genesis, released in the United Kingdom in April 1978 on Charisma Records. It is the first album recorded as a trio of keyboardist Tony Banks, guitarist Mike Rutherford, and singer and drummer Phil Collins, following the departure of guitarist Steve Hackett in 1977. The album found the band with a more streamlined sound and they slowly worked pop into the mix, as heard on the closing Follow You Follow Me, the band's first genuine pop hit. Production recording And Then There Were Three was recorded at Relight Studios in Hilverenbeek, the Netherlands, the same location as Wind and Wuthering. According to Rutherford, the album was recorded in 2 weeks. The title, And Then There Were Three, comes from a verse of the children's rhyme 10 Little Indians. It alludes to the state of the band at the time, after the departure of guitarist Steve Hackett in 1977 reduced the group to a trio of keyboardist Tony Banks, guitarist Mike Rutherford, and singer and drummer Phil Collins. This three-man lineup would last until Collins' departure in 1996. Songs. While many of the songs were still progressive in terms of instrumentation and lyrics, the arrangements went from the more classical, movement-style composition of previous albums to the more standard verse-bridge format of popular songwriting. This was the final Genesis album to use a mellotron, which is used on just one track, Many Too Many. The lyrics to Ballad of Big were written by Collins. The introduction contains a wobbly guitar effect created by Rutherford, whereby he rubbed his guitar strings with pieces of metal, giving it a slightly Eastern strain. Scenes from A Night's Dream is based on the adventures of comic strip character Little Nemo. The song developed from a musical idea from Banks, who also proceeded to write its lyrics, but he gave up halfway through writing them as he felt they were unsuitable. The band instead settled on a set of lyrics that Collins offered. Say It's All Right Joe is a torch song about an alcoholic who goes into a drunken stupor. Rutherford intended for the track to be a mock on the Dean Martin Set 'em Up Joe alcoholic style. Rutherford said that the group deliberately planned to end the album on a lighter note, as a contrast to a more heavy-sounding track to close the record. Sleeve design. As with their past 3 studio albums, the sleeve was designed by Hypnosis. In an interview, Storm Thorgerson called the design a failure, and described the concept being conveyed. We were trying to tell a story by the traces left by the light trails. It was a torch, a car, and a man with a cigarette. The band was losing members and there were only 3 of them left. The lyrics of the songs were about comings and goings, and we tried to describe this in photographic terms by using time-lapse. So there's a car going off to one side and then the guy gets out of the car, walks over to the front of it, and lights a cigarette. But as he walks he uses a torch and the car he was in leaves. There's a trail left by the car, a trail left by him as he's walking, and then he lights a cigarette, which on the cover is where there's a flash of his face. Release. The album reached number 3 in the UK Albums Chart, and remained in the charts for 32 weeks, having been bolstered by the UK Top 10 success of Follow You Follow Me, which also became Genesis' first hit US single. And Then There Were Three reached number 14 on the US chart, becoming their first gold album there. Critical reception. Tour. Genesis toured in support of And Then There Were Three between March and December 1978. This tour marked the debut of Daryl Stuermer as their touring guitarist. Reissues. A digitally remastered version was released on CD in 1994 on Virgin in Europe and Atlantic in the US and Canada. The booklet on the remaster features the lyrics, although the gatefold picture is missing. An SACD/DVD double disc set was released on April 2, 2007. It was released in the US and Canada as part of the Genesis 1976 Euro 1982 box set. This includes the album in remixed stereo and surround sound, and related video tracks. The only exception is the track Say It's All Right Joe, which was not remixed because the band was unable to locate the multitrack recordings. Track listing. Personnel: Genesis, Tony Banks Euro keyboards, Phil Collins Euro drums, percussion, voices, Mike Rutherford a Euro guitars, basses, production, Genesis a Euro production, David Henschel a Euro production, engineer, Pierre Geoffroy Chateau a Euro engineering assistant, Steve Short a Euro mixing assistant, Jeff Banks a Euro equipment, Andy Mackrell a Euro equipment, Dale Newman a Euro equipment, Hypnosis a Euro sleeve design, photographs. References